prime, like, was it 20 years
30.
before?
Yeah, it was decades before, and the guy, as best as we could tell, was clean. But who indeed did they give custody rights to, or visitation? The mother, not the crackhead. She was marijuana. She was a drug addicted mother. Don't necessarily know. We'll get to crackheads though. So with this in mind, we don't know. But bottom line was that got better play, and this is an example of populism. Why? Because who's the government looking out for?
Little people.
The government's looking out for the baby that can't look out for itself. We had TT. Who was TT?
Prostitute.
Yeah, okay.
Who
I
didn't want to
TT.
get help.
Oh, that's a hooker. Yeah, I mean, okay. TT was the hooker, and what was the government trying to do to her? Sterilize her. What
No. She was the one who didn't want to get help for the HIV.
She was HIV positive, and she was running around turning tricks, and she was basically doing what to the community?
Infecting them.
She was basically spreading. She was providing a threat to the community through the spread of HIV and AIDS. So when you deal with this, they wanted to force her to do what?
Have medical treatment.
Receive treatment, not sterilize, because she can still spread AIDS if she's sterilized.
Yes.
But the thought was we needed to provide her treatment. And what did you guys think as far as the class? Go ahead, Russ.
The taxpayers disagree with that, or some of them found out?
That's right, because we as the taxpayers would now be paying for her irresponsible decisions. Populists would say, you know what, the government needs to do this, and indeed, we need to pay for this for the good of the entire community because she can't make decisions for herself. Libertarians, on the other hand, would say, wait a minute, I didn't make these decisions. She is making these decisions. The person buying from her is making a decision. Let them be responsible for their own choices, and the government needs to stay out of it. And I believe I had given you the example of Magic Johnson. People sued Magic Johnson for damages in the aftermath of him getting AIDS, because they were worried that they might have conceivably contracted it from him. So there is kind of a tort claim in there that maybe you should get some money if indeed she's doing this. Go ahead.
The article was in Texas, right?
It was in Texas, that's right. It was in Texas. We had the TT article. There were a number of them that were mixed in. Give these articles a good read through because... Fascist. What is a fascist? What do you guys remember about fascism?
Italy.
Extreme form of nationalism.
Nationalism, okay, what else?
Oh yeah, that's the next step of nationalism, right?
Fascism was like nationalism on steroids.
The black shirts.
Socialism and military.
Oh, what?
Like combined.
Socialism and the military combined.
Like
And
extreme
just in there they had this group.
Okay, I don't know about the
Like
socialism
sure.
part, but the military is.
It's
And
like-
not only military,
and
but
that's
you had the
the
uniformed
decoration.
people running around. So you knew exactly who the fascist or who the authority was. So you had uniforms, like the Nazis. What else did you have?
You also had a glorification of the leader.
Glorification of the leader.
Like in
Finger.
They always
Glorification of race.
No, they like discriminate against race.
They had to have an enemy, or they had to have, certainly they had to have a visible presence for power, but they had to have a visible enemy, and it was easy to blame a minority group, a racial group. Hitler had the Jews, for example. This would be a pretty good example of having that scapegoat in the grand scheme of things.
You know that
So,
rap? What country was that in?
what's that?
You know that rap thing
I
that
don't
you were
know.
talking about, like that, like glorifies Hitler?
That was from Germany.
I heard that in Germany, if you like, if you say that the Holocaust did not like happen, that you can go to jail.
Yeah, we talked about that. We
Yeah,
talked
so
about
how
that
is that,
briefly.
like,
The
they
the
didn't
re-
want
It doesn't say anything about Hitler, though. It just says in public schools you have to acknowledge the fact that the Holocaust happened. You can't say.
Yeah, it's saying things about Hitler is one thing because he was a leader and he actually brought the world pretty close to its knees for a while. But denying the Holocaust, if you were to say that that didn't happen, well then all of a sudden that's something that's considered a fact by the vast bulk of the world. And because it's Germany and it's such a sensitive issue because there is responsibility there, that's why they don't allow that. That's why a number of Eastern European countries where the camps were don't allow that too because they had a role. But just because you say one good thing about Hitler, that doesn't mean, yeah, that's different in the grand scheme. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think that's that came to the fact after they recognized it as being a genocide, and then UN initially gave what the actual definition of genocide is, and then like they had to just recognize it as genocide. It's the same. There's like a similar problem going on in Turkey. That's why.
And of course in Turkey you can't even speak Kurd, you know, Kurdish in the legislative floor.
Yeah, and then it's the same thing with the Germans. Like they can they can still talk about Hitler. They just can't say that it wasn't a genocide. That's
Yeah,
what
yeah, that's true. Other articles, the whistleblower article, have a look at it. We didn't spend as much time on that as some, but have a look at whistleblower. And then the other one that we had in there that we did spend a little bit of time on was the whole detainee article in Cuba, where they're supposed to be kept alive.